We're back, folks, still at part 8. So we're gonna go into the other part. After their naps, we had dressed the twins again in their clean clothes and brushed their hair and washed their faces so they looked sweet and appealing as they settled down on the floor to put large pieces of puzzles together. Those puzzles were old ones and they knew exactly which piece fitted in the other, and it was not so much of a problem, but a race to see who could fit in the most pieces first. Soon the race to put puzzles together bored the twins. So we piled all on one of the beds. So we piled all on one of the beds and Chris and I told stories we made up. That too grew that too grew boring for the twins. Though my brother and I could have gone on longer, competing to see who had the most imagination. Next, we hauled the small cars and trucks from the suitcases so the twins could crawl around and push cars from New York to San Francisco by route of wriggling under the beds and between the table legs, and soon they were dirty again. When we were tired of that, Chris suggested we play checkers and the twins could transport orange peels in their trucks and dump them down in Florida, which was the trash can in the corner. You can have the red pieces, announced Chris patronizingly. I don't believe, as you do, that black is a losing color. I scowled, sulked away. It seemed an eternity had passed between dawn and dusk, enough to change me, so I'd never be the same again. I don't want to play checkers, I said nastily. So I fell on a bed and gave up the struggle to keep my thoughts from roaming up and down endless alleys of dark, suspicious fears and tormenting, nagging doubts, wondering always if Mummy had told us all of the truth. And while we all four waited and waited and waited and waited for Mummy to show up, there wasn't a there wasn't a calamity. My there wasn't a cal- my, excuse me. My There wasn't a calamity and my thoughts didn't touch upon. Mostly fire, ghosts, monsters, and other specters living in the attic. Living in the attic. But in this locked room, fire was the uppermost threat. Can you imagine they're locked up in the room? Suppose there was a fire or something like that. What would happen? How would they escape? You know? And um, I'm one of those persons who is claustrophobic. Can you imagine being claustrophobic? Locked up in a room, locked up in somewhere you can't get out? That must be a horrible, horrible feeling. And the time passed so slowly. Chris in his chair with his book kept sneaking glances at his watch. The twins crawled to Florida, dumping their orange peels, and now they didn't know where to go. There were no oceans to cross, for they had no boats. Why hadn't we brought a boat? I whipped a glance at the paintings depicting hell and all its torments, and marveled at how clever and cruel the grandmother was. Why did she have to think of everything? It just wasn't fair for God to keep an ever watchful eye on four children, when outside in the world so many others were doing worse. In God's place from his all-seeing perspective, I wouldn't waste my time looking at four fatherless children locked up in a bedroom. I'd be staring at something far more entertaining. Besides, Daddy was up there. He'd make God take good care of us and overlook a few mistakes. Disregarding my sulky ways and objections, Chris put down his book and carried over the gaming box, which held equipment enough to play 40 different games. "What's the matter with you?" he asked as he began to place the red and black rounds on the board. "Why are you sitting so quiet? So scared looking? Afraid I'll win again?" "Games. I wasn't thinking of games," I told him, my thoughts of fire and my idea of ripping up sheets and knotting them together to form a ladder to reach to the ground, just like they did in many an old movie. Then, if a fire started, maybe tonight we'd have a way to reach the ground after we broke a window, and each of us could tie a twin to our back. I'd never seen his blue eyes show so much respect as they lit up with admiration. "Wow, what a fantastic idea, Kathy. Terrific. Exactly what we'll do if a fire starts, which it won't. And boy, it sure is good to know you're not going to be a crybaby after all." When you think ahead and plan for unexpected contingencies, it shows you're growing up, and I like that. Golly day, in 12 years of hard striving, I had at last won his respect and approval, and reached a goal I thought impossible. It was sweet knowing we could get along when shut up so close. Our exchanged smiles, our exchanged smiles promised that together we were going to manage to survive until the end of the week. Our new camaraderie, our newfound camaraderie constructed some security, a bit of happiness to grab hold of, like hands clasping. Then, what we'd found was shattered. Into our room came our mother. Hear this part now, guys. Hear a Tori come to bump. Hear this part. Then what we found was shattered. Into our room came our mother, walking so funny, wearing the strangest expression. We'd waited so long for her return, and somehow it didn't give us the anticipated joy to be with her again. Maybe it was only the grandmother who followed so close at her heels, while her flint, hard, mean gray eyes that quickly quelled our enthusiasm. My hand rose to my mouth. Something dreadful had happened. I knew it. I just knew it. Chris and I were sitting on a bed, playing a checker game, and from time to time looking at each other while we rumpled the bedspread. One rule broken. No, two. Looking was forbidden, as well as rumpling. And the twins had puzzle pieces here and there, and their cards and marbles were scattered about. So the room wasn't exactly tidy. I wonder what the grandmother going to say now. The mean grandmother. Three rules broken, and the boys and girls had been in the bathroom together, and maybe we'd even broken another rule, for we were always to feel, no matter what we did, that God and the grandmother had some secret communication between them. Oh my goodness. So they have broken some of the rules according to the grandmother. So when we come back, we'll be at chapter 9. And we're going to see what the grandmother says and what's the mother's excuse now for staying away so long, and not coming to tell the children exactly what's happening. So when we come back at chapter 9, folks, we're going to see what's happening. So now keep your folks in suspense. We're going to see what happens when we come back. Alright, so thank you for listening. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, and comment. I'm waiting for someone to comment and tell me how you like the reading or any little thing you'd like to say. So I'm waiting on those comments. So thank you. Do remember to go on my YouTube page, which is KARENVIBES with an exclamation sign. You can go on and see the different books that I've read and follow through with the story. So thanks for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and we'll be back on very soon. All right, peace out.